Greetings and welcome to my channel. This is Sorcerer Tal. You can also find me on Facebook in the Sorcerer's Guild. Today on Magical Theory, we are going to be discussing how to use a crystal ball, or how to ponder your orb. Okay, so in the meme you have this picture of a wizard. He's got his hood on and he's reaching down to the crystal ball and staring into it. And that is one of the things that we do with a crystal ball, yeah? Is scrying, which is a form of remote viewing where you're looking into the crystal ball. But this can also be used as a form of meditation, to simply ponder the orb, looking into it and using it as a focus to do an open-eyed meditation. So we'll start there. A little rusty. Okay, so I like to hold the crystal ball on top of my hand like this. And then we just stare into the crystal ball. We allow our mind to go into it. So imagine that we are actually just entering into the ball. And this provides us a focal point for meditation. Now, if you're going to be scrying with the ball, then what you're doing, in my video on glass hand, I discussed the way that I most often scry, and that's by simply using my hands like this, and I look into the empty space, and then we're trying to get that cloud in there. But with this, oh, I really am rusty. With this, we're doing the same thing. We're looking into the ball and allowing our mind, like I said when we were just meditating, to kind of go into the ball. If there's anything around the ball, of course, you're going to see that in the ball, so you can hold it like this, but it's not doesn't make as good of a video if you can't see, yeah? So stare into the ball like this here, and you'll want to have an empty background, not with a camera and stuff looking at you, and you simply allow your focus to drift in, and it's that same thing. There's kind of that same color that you see on the back of your eyelids. That's what you're looking for to form in the crystal ball. And you don't want to, again, you don't want to be trying then to imagine that color into there. You don't want to lead it in that way. You want to simply allow it to form. And then as that fades away, you begin opening up a picture. At first, it's easiest to do this, at least for me, without directing it. You simply stare in. Allow your eyes, like your eyes are going to want to do that thing where they start doubling and going crazy. Go ahead and just, don't fight that. Just let it do it. As long as your eyes maintain contact with the crystal ball. And allow it to go where it's going to. Over time, because this is a remote viewing technique, you are going to want to try to view certain places. Over time, with practice, you simply, as the clouds begin to open, again, you don't want to try and imagine that place into being. Even though, of course, memory of where you've been is going to help. But you don't want to try and visualize that image into the crystal ball. You want to allow it to form. Otherwise, you're just directing your imagination. So you want to allow rather than guide. Okay, so that is the basics of how to scry with a crystal ball. But that is not the only thing that we can do with our orb. Yeah? We can also invoke with the orb. And in order to invoke, you're going to want some sort of podium for it to stand on. Mine's just another piece of crystal here. And what we will do then is we're essentially using the crystal ball as our invoking circle. You can even draw a bit of a circle around the ball. Like, I like the 8-sided octagon. Well, actually, it's two squares on top of each other. It makes like a chaos star, but if all the lines from the arrows were connected, so it makes a square like this, and then a diamond on top of it, and put the ball into the center of that. And we would use that as, and then when we are evoking the spirit, we are evoking it into the crystal ball, and that is where we will see the spirit. If we are getting a full manifestation, it will actually appear within the ball. And on top of that, I mean, there's a lot more about evocation, that we will get into in future videos, but this video is more about the ball itself. So we can do the evocation through the ball, and you can even use it as a way to contact a spirit, rather than when you do the remote viewing, rather than going to trying to view a physical a place on the material realm. We can use this as a way to contact a spirit. And what we're doing then, well, of course, like I just said, we can use it as a way to invoke a spirit, but we can also use it as a way to contact them. And what we're doing there is we actually at that then are going to start with our imagination, imagining an image. Often if I'm doing this, I will start with the being sigil, and I will imagine that sigil into the ball and visualize it forming within the crystal, and then placing your energy into it and imagining the ball opening up as a circle and reaching out to the spirit that you're trying to contact. And this is essentially the same as the evocation that I'm talking about, but a lot of times I like to do that in my hand. Either way, when you open up the circle, if you're trying to evoke, as in draw a spirit into the orb, you will open the circle, you will open the orb, and then put the sigil and draw the spirit to you. If you're trying to contact, you imagine the sigil, charge it, and then open up the portal and imagine you were reaching out to contact that spirit. A lot of times when we're doing evocation, we will even do the contact first, get that rapport. I talk about that in other videos about establishing rapport. That is one way that we can begin the contact. If we're going to be using the crystal ball, is first we reach out to a contact and ask if we can evoke them, and then prepare for a larger ritual where we are then invoking them into the crystal ball. And then there is one more thing. Well, actually there's two more things that we can do with the crystal ball. They are great for spell work itself. You can actually cast sigils or create servitors within the crystal ball and send them out. And that is accomplished very similar to the contact method. Start with the crystal ball on your hands, and then this is something that I would typically do with a repeated sigil, one that I have used more than once, but so that I have a good memory of it. And you just imagine that sigil into the center of the ball, focus your will into it, and then as you are visualizing it, charge it, and the more you can see it in there, the stronger it's becoming. You want to just visualize the sigil and charge it. And just keep doing that in the center of the crystal ball until you can see it clearly. And once you have it ready, blow it off, release the sigil, and take the ball into the palm of your hand rather than on the tips. I used to be really good at that, but I'm definitely out of practice. Okay, so, and the final thing that we're going to be talking about with the crystal ball is drawing down the sun. This is often talked about in your Wiccan rituals, and they tell you to make a square, look up at the sun, and then draw it down to the fire before you light the fire, and this is called drawing down the sun. Well, originally, well, maybe not originally, but the way that I understand that ritual, it's not forming a square with your hand, it's the crystal ball. Yeah? You take the crystal ball, line it up with the sun, take it down to the fire, and hold it the right distance away to actually focus the light from the sun, draw that light down through the crystal ball, focus it through the other end, and light the fire with the sun itself. And that is why it is actually called drawing down the sun, because that is what you're supposed to be doing, is drawing down the sun through the crystal ball. And this is something that for some reason is omitted almost every time you hear this ritual of drawing down the sun. They tell you to use your hands and symbolically draw it down, when this is something that is actually a physical exercise that is done, and it is done with the crystal ball. Speaking of, you often hear about putting fabric over your crystal ball when it's not in use. Typically they say black fabric to keep the circle closed. Now, as long as after you've done your contact, your evocation, or your sigil work, or even your servitor, which, by the way, I didn't completely cover that, all over the place today. With the servitor, you would make the sigil of the servitor, imagine it, and then imagine it forming into the being of the form that you want that servitor to take. And then you would inflate that form until you can see it in the ball, and then release it, same as you would the sigil. But anyways, back to what we were... Oh yes, and with any of these, once you are done, it is probably wise to then visualize the circle closing. You don't want to leave open portals all over your house. I do have some areas in my altar room that are permanently open portals, but that's for another video. Perhaps we'll talk about that another time. But anyways, when you're not using a crystal ball, especially if it's near a window, it is important to cover it in some way. Not because of the open portals or spirits getting into your house when you're not aware of it. If you close the circle, that's not really an issue. The real reason is because it can burn your house down. Yeah? Like I just talked about drawing down the sun through the crystal ball and how the light is focused through the ball and it creates almost like a laser on the other end that you can light the fire with. Well, it can do that without you holding it. If the sun is just right, coming through the window, it can get into the crystal ball, put the light through, light your house on fire. That's more than just bad luck. That's physics. It doesn't need magic. It doesn't need intent for it to do that. It just will. Okay. So, I think that's going to be it for this episode. Thank you once again for joining us. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please take the opportunity to do so now. Until next time, bright blessings and an interesting fate. This has been Sorcerer Tal.